Today on our 2011 Chevrolet Avalanche, we're going to be installing the Roadmaster Replacement Breakaway Switch for Roadmaster Even Brake and Brake Pro, part number RM-650898. In addition to the breakaway switch, we're also going to be installing the Roadmaster Breakaway Harness for Even Brake braking systems, part number RM-650900. Now here's what our new breakaway switch looks like. It does come with a bolt and a nut to secure it, as well as a rubber grommet if you would need to drill a hole through any sheet metal to route the wiring. Now here's what the harness looks like that we're going to be installing today. The ends, as you'll notice, match up with our breakaway switch, so they just plug in like that. The other end will be routed into the cab of the vehicle, where it'll tie in with your braking system. Now on the front of this vehicle, there's not many locations that you won't have to drill or cut through the painted portions of the front fascia. So we're going to go ahead and put our breakaway switch in this general area here. It'll be out of the way of the removable arm, yet low enough that we won't be in the way of the safety cable from the base plate. It'll also give a straight pull forward if it would ever need to be pulled due to a breakaway situation. So now we have our breakaway switch here, and I took a bracket that came with our base plate kit, and I kind of bent it to make it fit how we're going to mount things. So again, depending on your exact location that you choose to mount your breakaway switch, may determine what sort of bracket you use or what modifications you might have to make. We're going to go ahead and use the bolt and the nut that come with the kit to attach our bracket to the breakaway switch. Just tighten it down enough to hold it in place. We'll be able to feed it through the hole here, and it'll end up in there something like that. This will allow us still a straight pull for the breakaway switch to be pulled out. So now with our breakaway switch installed, we're going to go ahead and we're going to drill a hole through the portion of frame to attach the bracket to it. Let's take our paint marker to mark where we need to drill. So to connect our bracket to the frame, just going to be using a hex bolt, a washer, and a flange nut. Now you will need to supply these additionally. Go ahead and install that to the frame, and then we'll put the flange nut on. Go ahead and tighten down everything by hand for now. We can go ahead and make some final adjustments and then finish tightening down the hardware. Next, we'll need to go ahead and take our wiring harness. We'll plug it into the back side of the breakaway switch. Once we have it plugged in, we're going to go ahead and take a little bit of electrical tape to wrap up our connection and help protect it from the elements. We're going to go ahead and wrap up the two wires that come out of the back side of the breakaway switch as well, just to give them a little more protection too. Now that we have our connection made, we'll need to take the wiring harness. We'll need to route it up into the cab of the vehicle, where we'll store it up underneath the dash on the driver's side. Now when routing the wire or the cable, you want to make sure that you stay away from areas that have sharp edges, any moving parts, or areas that may become hot, as all of these could easily damage the wire. We'll also be using a few zip ties along the way to help us in securing the wire. Now we've routed the wire up, and there's a large grommet right down there on the firewall where the main wiring harness goes into the cab of the vehicle. So that's where we're going to end up routing our wire into the cab through. Now before we do that, we're going to go ahead and trim off any excess zip tie that we may have used to secure the wiring. Next, we're going to go ahead and take our razor knife and we're going to put a cut here in the rubber grommet so that we can pull our wire through. We'll then need to go on the inside of the vehicle and put a cut on the grommet as well. Now we've gone ahead and threaded a pull wire through the rubber grommet where we put a slit on both sides. Our pull wire that we're using is just an old piece of Airline tubing, but you can use other things as the pull wire. You just need something that's rigid enough that you can push it through the rubber grommet. Now we'll go out underneath the hood, we'll tape the wiring harness to the other end of our pull wire, or we'll pull it through the grommet into the cab of the vehicle. We'll then go ahead and secure up any excess wire here so that whenever we're not using our braking system, it'll be up out of the way. Make sure you leave enough wire so that when you are ready to use your braking system, you can simply pull the breakaway wire down and plug it into the breakaway system. We can then trim off any excess zip tie. And that'll do it for the installation of the Roadmaster Replacement Breakaway Switch for Roadmaster Even Brake and Brake Pro, part number RM-650898, in conjunction with the Roadmaster Breakaway Harness for Even Brake braking systems, part number RM-650900, on our 2011 Chevrolet Avalanche.